I dumped like a half a pound of meth down the toilet one time because I heard sirens in my head and they were coming, and I knew they were coming. It really sucked when I realized that they weren't coming, and I just dumped,
and then you just dumped
like $2,000 worth of drugs down the toilet. But that's the insanity of it.
Yeah. Totally.
Like, you know what?
So just hold my shit together then, basically.
No, we don't want you to hold anything.
He coughs every once in a while, but he like, yeah.
It's daring of me though, just getting over being sick to come on
That's
here.
That's fine. We don't mind getting sick with you.
Yeah, thank goodness you made it.
We made it. Are we starting?
We're not sure. Where are you from?
I mean, we just talk.
Yeah,
okay.
This is it. Did she sign her life away here?
Oh, she doesn't need to sign this. This one's like, this one's too intense for her. What? Don't just let me remind me before you leave. I have a little one page because this stuff does go on the internet.
Oh, this is being recorded and advertised
on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, the Hopeaholics. It'll probably be on Instagram. I'll tag you in it.
Yeah. Perfect.
You can play it if you want.
Okay.
We cut like little shorts. Oh yeah, go ahead.
What's your name?
Cheree.
Cheree. Sorry to interrupt you, brother.
Yeah. Cheree.
Cheree.
This is Shane.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, Shane. Nice to meet you.
I'm Chad.
Nice to meet you, Chad.
Nice to meet you as well.
How long do you guys know each other for?
Well, this is the first time we've ever met.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I know you though because I've been following you on social media for the last maybe 3 or 4 months. So since Ken and Eric, we did a Sizzle Reel. Did you hear about that?
I didn't hear about that. In Palm Springs recently?
No.
Okay.
No, it was like a few months ago here at this facility.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I heard that you were doing one as well. Is that true?
That's true.
What is your Sizzle Reel about?
When did we do that? Was in
Bring the mic just a tiny bit closer.
Last August.
August?
Yeah, last August we did it. That is called Rock Bottom.
Nice.
Yeah. So we'll see where it goes. Pretty excited about it though.
Have you taken it anywhere yet? Do you have somebody marketing it for you?
We do.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So we'll see where it goes and shop it around and see where it gets picked up just so we can help more people, you know?
Yeah. That's the thing that kind of got me interested in when I was following you. You have a lot of the same ideas that I have. And I think that's pretty cool to have like-minded people come on the podcast. The main reason for this podcast is because of my what would have been my son-in-law died from a fentanyl. We call it fentanyl poisoning now. We don't call it overdoses.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
When was that?
September 11th.
September 11th. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
My daughter found him.
Oh my gosh. Tragic. Awful.
Yeah. So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little about myself. Oh,
Yeah.
Where to start?
Yeah, where do you start?
Yeah, where do you start with this?
How was your growing up? Like 13, 12, 11, 10, 9?
You know, everything was normal childhood, I'd say, as normal gets,
Right.
You know. Come from a good family, school, did cheerleading, grades, you know. Maybe I guess we could say where it started.
No, seriously though, that's the sign, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
No, really, looking back on it at the time, you think you're just this little rebel and I just don't like school, do everything else other than school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I had a great childhood. And as I got older, I would say just didn't make the best choices, you know, kind of one of those down to do whatever girls. And at the time when you're young, you think that's cool. Like, hey, let's take the boat out and go jump off the bridge. Oh, cool. I'm down, you know. Oh, well, here's some pills, you know, try
Right.
this. Cool,
Yeah.
I'm down. Here's some Coke. Try this. Yeah, I'm down, you know. Until it wasn't fun anymore. Then it just kind of spiraled. But yeah, I mean, I did cheerleading all the way through high school. I coached it after high school. And and then just started experimenting mostly after high school. I would say, I'm in recovery. So definitely went through my addiction, and I was about 18, started with prescription pills, and then quickly led to heroin. So
injecting or?
Yep, it led to that. Of course, it was smoking. I would never inject, right?
Right, no, never.
That's the theme. That's the common theme, right?
Yeah. Oh, I just smoke it. I don't inject.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you going to say the same thing as you said yesterday?
No.
No?
No.
You don't look like you used to inject heroin.
Is that what you said yesterday?
Not to her. He said it to this other girl that just came in to do like quick 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And she was like, I used to use meth. And he was
heroin.
like,
Yeah. Slam heroin. Slam meth. You're right. Yeah.
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 I mean, hey, I guess that's a blessing, right? To be able to sit here and say that you don't look like you did it.
Right.
It didn't take its toll, because I mean, nothing's worse than somebody willing to, and we see that a lot, having a treatment facility now, that want to get sober, turn their life around, and they're mentally ready for that, but physically something else is going on, and that's a scary and sad part about it too. It's like whether it's liver cirrhosis or you're already missing all your teeth or whatever it may be, so you have to hope that your physical being is able to keep up with the mentality of wanting to overcome addiction.
Right.
And that's scary. So thank you.
Yeah,
Luckily,
talk a
I don't
little
look
more
like
about
that.
that. That was an interesting angle you were taking. So you need to look the part, kind of,
Right.
in sobriety.
In
There's
sobriety.
a certain way to act, certain way to look, certain way to be.
Yeah, but some people don't physically just they beaten their bodies up so bad that it takes longer to recover
Right.
for them.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I do get that a lot. It's like, okay, well, you're young, how do you have a story like that? How did you go through all of that? And, have a treatment facility, and, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I was able to catch it young, I guess you could say. Cause I mean, back then it was like, hey, you do what? Heroin? That's crazy. And now it's like heroin, what, where? I haven't heard of anybody using that anymore, and it's like how times have changed in, just a decade. That's a short amount of time to say like, we are not even seeing anyone come in with a history of heroin, because fentanyl's overpowering everything. Exactly.
It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
We go out on the streets with this and interview people that are smoking fentanyl, or, we feed the homeless and do other stuff. And the common theme, and I've seen it in other YouTube channels where people are interviewing homeless people, and there's just no heroin on the streets,
Right.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a scary thing.
It is scary. Very scary.
That's a sad thing that I just said right there. It's a scary thing that there's no heroin on the streets.
Right.
Like,
if you listen to that, I mean, that sounds absurd.
And that sounds insane. That should be like, I should be saying it's a good thing that there's no heroin on the streets, but what's on the streets is 10 times more powerful than heroin.
Yep. Yeah. And aside from the effects it's having on somebody, the high that you're getting, it's also what we're seeing too in the detox phase and the recovery process. It's almost like when people were abusing methadone, when they came out with methadone to overcome heroin addiction. And it's, we would have the methadone dependent clients come in and say, I wish I was kicking heroin. And it's the same thing now with fentanyl. I wish I was kicking heroin and not fentanyl, because it takes so much longer to leave your body. You can't start taking any sort of comfort medications as soon as you could if it was heroin. You have to wait a longer length of time before taking your first dose.
Right.
So it's just all, and then staying in someone's system. It's another thing. People are getting kicked out of treatment because they're showing up positive still for fentanyl, but it stays in your system. I mean, gosh, we've seen it last up to 20 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. I never knew that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the lingering effects is definitely a lot worse too.
So you were 18. Sorry, we got sidetracked.
Yeah, I was, it's about 18, maybe 19. It's kind of all a little bit of a fog, looking back on it, but it started with prescription pills, and That's when the OxyContin days were really big, you know, where it was getting to the point where, you know, first you're taking it, and then you're snorting it, and then you're smoking it, and now it's $180 a pill. And it's crazy that your addiction's so powerful that you are scrambling 5 to 10 people to go in on one pill.
Oh man.
Like, that's insane, you know?
Yeah.
$180 and we're desperate. So we're doing it, doing everything we can, you know, and hope that whoever's picking up that pill doesn't take that one pill, put it in their pocket and run. And then that just got expensive, you know? And so, well, heroin's cheaper and get a lot more bang for your buck. So it's one of those things where I just remember sitting there like, oh no, I can't do that. You know, I can't do that. It just sounds dirty, you know?
It does.
Was it black tar heroin too?
It was.
Up there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like here. It looks dirty.
It is dirty.
It does.
Yeah.
It is dirty. You know, it's I mean, it's all bad.
Right.
But something mentally, it's like you're you know, you're sick, but for a pill, it's like, oh, it seems cleaner.
Yeah.
You know, it's the
Yeah,
whole the
it's
doctor
true.
prescribed
I
it type
know.
deal.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
just
crazy?
didn't prescribe it to me.
Right.
You know?
Sometimes the prescription pill addicts are the hardest.
Oh yeah.
Because they're like, well,
Oh, yeah.
my doctor prescribed this
Totally.
to me. You know?
It's
15
okay.
years later.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, it just downhill spiraled. I mean, really bad, really quick. And I maintained a job. That was one thing, but I needed to support my habit. So I really needed to hide it from my family, but I also needed to be able to afford it without asking for money. So I did maintain a job, which is pretty scary, you know. And yeah, I got into some legal trouble and did that whole thing, manipulating, you know, the system and my mom and my family. And, oh, it wasn't mine, it was theirs. You know, I was wrong place, wrong time type deal. And of course, you know, a family who doesn't come from drug history, and they look at me and they say, well, she looks okay.
Easily tricked.
Yeah, of course. She's acting all right. She's working. She shows up to work on time. Maybe she's right, you know? And, you know, my poor family I was a guinea pig when it came to substance abuse, big time. And so it was a learning experience for everybody involved. And, yeah, I mean, thankfully I got sober. That was a pretty interesting situation. My younger brother actually was telling my mom, like, she's on drugs. Like, you got to do something. She's on drugs. Look at her arms. I pulled the whole, cat scratched me, and wearing long sleeve shirts in the summertime.
In the middle of the summer?
Yeah.
Hot as hell.
Hot as hell. But yet you're not
Norcal?
sweating, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. It's like all the things, all the signs that we know now in looking at somebody. But, you know, they didn't see it, and they believed everything. And he finally said, look at her purse and see how she doesn't let it leave her sight. And when she walks away from it, look through it. There's your answer. I don't have to keep telling you anymore. And that time happened to be at a baby shower. So worst timing it could possibly be. And we all took a group photo, all of our friends, and I left my purse unattended, and she did what she needed to do. She looked through it, and there was all my stuff right there. And she actually called the cops on me.
Who's she?
My mom.
Okay.
Yeah. She called the cops and says, look, I need you guys to do something because I'm going to lose her. I'm scared now. You know, seeing needles in your daughter's purse is a big eye opener that something is going to be seriously wrong if she doesn't do something about it. So she's like, this is where we're at. I'll let you know when she leaves. This is what she's driving. Pull her over for a traffic stop. I don't care. Just do something. And so they did. Wow. Right when I left. Yeah. Yeah, they pulled me over. That was January 7th of 2012. And that officer was like, look, we could just make this simple. Just tell me where your stuff's at. And of course I tried to bullshit him. And, oh no, I don't have anything. He's like, well, I know you do. So either you're going to show it to me or I'm going to pull you out. We're going to search your car and you can get another charge for that. So I just remember that moment, crying on that officer's shoulder, like, damn, this is the end of it. You know, I have to, because, you know, you're miserable in your addiction.
Right.
You're so miserable. Like, that's one thing I know is like, you're so hooked on that crap. But it's like, I would remember looking in the mirror, like, stop doing this or take me, one of the two, because I can't live like this anymore. This is miserable.
Yeah.
So I took that opportunity as a time to say, I'm going to do something about this. I don't know what's going to happen after here. I don't know if I'm going to jail for a long time. I have no idea, but this has to be, you know, a turn in the road for me. And it was. I went to jail 5 days, too long. That was the worst experience of my life, you know. Felt like a lifetime. I felt like I was going to be living the rest of my life there, learning how to, you know, make peanut butter and jelly taste better. Like, what's happening? I don't want to get comfortable here. This is ridiculous,
Right.
you know? But yeah, I mean, I went to court after that. My mom did not bail me out that time. And I'm thankful, very thankful that she didn't. And I just remember sitting in the courtroom up in black and white stripes with everybody staring at me and still fogged, you know, even though I was sober. I was still so fogged over that I almost thought it was kind of funny. I don't know if it was just a protection mechanism that I was having at the moment with everybody looking at me, but I couldn't take it seriously. The combination of fear, cravings, all the things were at that moment. And at that time, drug charges were felonies, not misdemeanors, you know, so they were a lot serious, which we can go down that conversation too of how I wish today they were still felonies and not misdemeanors. You know, I feel like a lot of people would probably get a lot more help if they had a little bit bigger of a consequence there.
I don't even think they get taken to jail anymore.
No.
They write a ticket right there and let released.
Isn't that crazy?
They take their stuff away.
Man, I'd still be out there.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'd
Everyone
still
would.
just be
100%.
no, actually, I take that back. I would be dead because that's the kind of drug addict I was, you know?
Yeah. Same.
I didn't stop until I got rescued by the Orange County Sheriff's Department. And I call it rescued.
I like that.
Some people call it arrested, but like they rescued me. And I gave them a run for their money for
you did.
a short period of time.
Yeah, you did.
I really did.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't put a lot of that out on the podcast.
High speed too.
Huh?
High speed.
High speed.
High speed.
Let's hear about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And on top of that, my drug of choice happens to be meth. And I intravenously use meth, so I go into a nice meth-induced psychosis. So I'm a little bit scary.
Yeah.
You know?
I can believe that.
Not the same guy that I am when I'm sober.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
I agree with you, though, on that. I mean, if it was just like, we can't just, like, people are dying.
Yeah.
You know?
Serious. This is serious stuff.
It's very 300 people a day, right? 300 people a day. That's last year's numbers,
Right.
you know, and they're only growing. What are we going to do about it?
Right.
You know, I know what I'm going to do about it. I'm going to sit here and behind this podcast. Well, I'm going to continue to run my treatment centers, but I'm going to sit here behind this podcast and I'm going to yell until everybody fucking in America hears me. And I have enough people, you know, standing beside me. I kind of think of it more like the program, like circling with me. And then we'll walk up to Congress and we'll circle around the building and we'll force change.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's hard, you know, as an interventionist working with the system and being in different cities and states and having to figure out a plan of, okay, how are we going to save this individual?
Right.
What is the plan here? What are we going to do? You know, and getting the information from the family and the backstory. At times it's, okay, we got to contact local law enforcement because it's very possible that it's going to go this way. And I want to be prepared for any way that it might go. And it's interesting how different counties, different states, different officers operate different. You know, you may have one, not my problem. Call me if you really have an emergency.
Right.
And then you have the ones that No questions asked. You know what? I'll park outside.
They have a family member that's affected by this
Right.
by this situation. So your mom was lucky. She got to a good. My mom too did the same thing. Got me arrested the identical way.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
I didn't
identical
know
way.
this story.
Oh yeah, bro. 4 times.
Wow.
Oh, man.
4 times.
Can't wait till your mom hears this podcast.
She had me arrested. Right.
I love
Sent
that.
right to my home.
I love it.
Yeah.
I
He's
mean,
in there
that's
using. He's
true
in
love
there.
right
Just
there.
keep knocking.
You know?
Keep
They
knocking.
they tried that with me, but the cops couldn't come into my house.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
know?
I let him in.
You did?
Yeah.
You let him
I
in.
let him in. Open. Hey, how you guys doing?
I didn't.
I opened the
They're
door.
like knocking on my door, and they're like, "Chad, can we come in?" I'm like, "Nope."
Second
I'm like,
you
"Do you
open
have
the door,
a
they
wa-
put
do you
the
have
foot
a
in?
do you have a warrant?"
Yeah.
No, I don't have a warrant.
What do you think? You can manipulate them?
I don't know what I was thinking. I was pretty
He
high.
was smoking crack.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? When we're sick in our addiction, it's like I could see it go both ways.
Yeah.
One is like, I'm not letting you in. The other, like, okay, what's my story?
And I'll never
You
forget.
know, what am I going to tell him right now?
And I could talk my way out of it
Yes.
too, 'cause I'm
Yes.
so good.
And I had
at
it all
talking
rocked up, and I
and
put it in the toilet because I know
Oh, man.
it's okay in the toilet because it can go in water.
I dumped like a half a pound of meth down the toilet one time because I heard sirens in my head and they were coming, and I knew they were coming. It really sucked when I realized that they weren't coming, and I just
and
dumped
then you just dumped.
like $2,000
Yeah.
worth of drugs down the toilet. But that's the insanity of it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like, you know what? I sit here and I laugh and joke about it on this podcast a lot because I find that shit funny, and I think that people who are still using or people who are brand new in recovery can relate to and let us make light of the crazy situations that we put ourselves in, and
Right.
see that people like me and you and Shane and so many others can pull out of that and become successful in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like on the day when you got out of jail, did you think that your life was going to be where it is right now?
Absolutely not.
You know?
Yeah. No.
But was that the last time? So when you got arrested, was that the last time?
Yep.
That's it?
That's it.
Nice.
Yep. That
Did you
was the
go to
last time.
rehab?
I did.
You did?
Yep.
When you got out of jail?
Right when I got out of jail. Straight from there. Yeah.
Did you detox in jail?
Mm-hmm.
Any meds?
Nope. Nope.
Any candy bars?
Lots of candy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, snuck in. And it's like, it's crazy that you realize how it's the mind, it's the game,
Yeah.
it's the chase.
Yeah.
It's not even so much the drugs. It's like
No.
you're sober.
Right.
And I thought, let me just get sober for one day and like I'll be my old self. But you're not.
No.
The first thing I'm thinking about, even though I'm scared shitless of jail, I'm still thinking, okay, if I'm going to go to rehab, how can I figure out a way to stop and get cigarettes because I need to get something really quick and take it with me? It's like, dude, you're already 5 days sober. Like, keep it going.
Right.
But your mind doesn't operate that way, And it's like that's a whole other ball game you're dealing with when you get sober. It's like one is physically getting through it, but mentally it's like, damn, that part takes a long time.
Yeah.
And then I went to treatment. I was in treatment for 7 months, and I would say just about 5 months, I was barely starting to really feel like myself again. Because I remember using, and I would look at people and be like, what are they on? I try to guess. Okay, she must be drinking a lot of wine. That they're doing a bunch of coke. There's no way in hell any of them are happy sober. There's no way. They've got to be on something. And that's where your mind goes. And so finally, just to like clear up a bit, I mean, it was nice to be able to be like, well, the trees actually look green, and the flowers, like you're just in this bubble. You don't see any of that. And so I just remember all of those things. But even then, it's still like, it was the manipulation piece, even though I was sober, even a few months sober.
Right.
It's like, what have people not gotten away with here? Because I'm going to try to do that. It's like I was the worst client. I really was. Now my clients come in. I'm like, well, you cannot bullshit a bullshitter,
Yeah.
All the things that you think you're going to get away with, I've already done it.
Right.
So, and I feel like what you had said, when you bring some humor to this, I mean, this is our reality,
Right.
right? I mean, this is, unless you've sat in our spot and been through what we've been through, and there are so many people out there suffering what we suffered with. I mean, and you overcome it, you are one hell of a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
That's a really good soundbite, man. She just said right there. Sorry.
You know,
I'm tagging that one.
Yeah. I mean, I tell people all the time, you know, people go through hard things all the time. You know, that's life. You lose a job, you know, have a breakup, you lose someone you love close to you. But when you're staring death right in the face, like you have there's nothing less than that. Right. I'm at the bottom of this cup and this barrel, and there's nothing underneath here other than 6 feet under.
Yep.
And when you have been to that place personally and you can overcome it, and somebody who may have had really hard times and they're all right here in this area, but you're here and you can climb all the way and be right here, it's like, dude, you
can do anything.
Yeah. It
made me think of the song by Notorious B.I.G. I always put it on my stories, but the sky is the limit.
Mm-hmm.
Like for people like us,
right?
You know, I was so sick. Mm-hmm. Like I was sick. Like I was so sick. I talked to Satan and Jesus at the same time. Mm-hmm. You know, and I was just like you said, staring death in its face. And it's like, when you said what you said, it reminded me of this other story. There's a guy, I think his Instagram is Hey Big Mike. He's Logan Paul's sidekick on his podcast, and he's sober, and he talks about if you've overcome addiction, basically saying the same thing. You can do anything. You have something.
Yeah, you
have something to offer other people.
You know, we have another level of strength.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you can overcome something that is going to just take you out, and you can push hard enough to overcome all the emotions and all the mental struggles and physical struggles that come along with that, yeah, you can do anything.
Yep.
You know, and that's when you have to realize, okay, I have something much bigger in this life for me than to let me go out to drugs.
Right.
You know, and it's us to be able to go out and save our people. Yeah. Because there's other people that have more power than us. Yeah. You know, the law system, I mean, there's so many more people out there that have more power than we do, but we're fighting harder.
Right.
So how do we combine the two of those to say, okay, how do we work together? How do we use your legal power and what I know as a professional and a recovering addict to save more lives?
Yeah.
Like that's what we need to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of why I'm doing this, and I'm bringing like-minded people like yourself, and just going to start to organize this. And, you know, there's so many of us. Mm-hmm. When we all come together, they have to listen. They can't, you know, like, have you heard about and not to get political, but have you heard about how they want to solve the homeless crisis in California? They want to buy little huts.
Oh, yeah.
And whoever's selling them these little huts is selling them for $800,000 a piece. Sure. Like, that's insanity. So this, it must be a buddy of somebody, and they're making money off of this, but they're not giving, because most of our homeless crisis is either people with severe mental health issues or people using fentanyl and meth and other substances. And that's just the reality of it. So if we aren't giving them any treatment at all, nothing's going to change.
Right.
They probably won't even want to be in the huts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're already facing that in San Francisco.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that I go down there quite often, you know, to pull loved ones out of the Tenderloin. And I've interviewed many of those homeless down there and addicts, and they will say, this is comfortable.
Yeah.
They've made it comfortable for me. Yeah. I can't take drugs in my hut, but I can go to my hut, and then I'm ready to go back on my run in the morning, you know? And so, and just like the safe injecting sites, you know, it's like, I get it. You don't want them to catch, you know, this, that, and the other, but it's a level of enabling.
It's at
100%.
the highest level of enabling.
You know, it's crazy to me. I'm like, if I could go to a place where I could just, you know, it's like we were trying to be like, okay, can you go into Walgreens and get more needles? Okay, well, they're going to see me again. So can you do it? You know, It's like just a little bit harder to get it versus just, here you go. No problem. And while you're at it, go ahead and inject right here too. You know, I mean, that's crazy to me, you know? So I just feel like we need to be doing more. We need to be educating our youth. That's, you know, I've been saying that for a long time too, is We're not seeing teen pregnancies anymore, but we're seeing overdoses all the time. What are we doing about it? Why are we having a whole curriculum on sex ed when times have changed?
Right.
We need to be doing
You're right.
drug education.
Yeah. They
Like
need to be
real
aware
drug
because
education.
because the part of the issue is that the people that are dying aren't even us. They're not even addicts. It's like these kids in high school that are trying this stuff for the very first time, and they may not have ever become addicts, but they're dead.
Right.
Because they tried a rainbow fentanyl
Right.
for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's just crazy to me.
Yep.
And I hear them talk. Here's the thing: it's not that I don't hear them talking about it. I hear it on the news every day, but I don't see them doing anything because we all know where it's coming from, and there's only one solution to that. You know, you got to stop it down there at the source. But we do it. We have to continue to educate and do everything every single day to put awareness out there.
Yeah.
Constantly.
I mean, the system's just broken. You know, I mean, you work in treatment too. So, I mean, how times have changed even with insurance.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like, okay, you have somebody who's a constant relapser and we're dealing with a whole other demon out there. And because they've been to treatment 7 times, you're telling me they don't need more treatment? They've been to treatment too many times? No, that just says they need more treatment. They need
longer term treatment.
Longer term treatment. And if we did it from all the way from the beginning and say we will authorize an entire year of case management and intensive outpatient and all the steps, not, okay, I'm going to give you 5 days in residential and I think you're ready to go ahead and be an outpatient while you're still withdrawing.
You're ready for PHP. Here's all your meds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to live? You have a place to live, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Insanity.
It's crazy.
We talked about this the other day.
Yeah, it's bad. It drives me crazy. Even worse, we're now seeing, oh, well, this case manager is really nice. So I'm sure we're going to get some time for this client. And we're fighting. We're the advocates for them, saying like, this is what they need, that they don't have anything.
Yeah.
You know, they just had an overdose or they, you know, just lost their loved one last week. And you're trying to tell me that they don't need support?
Yeah.
And then you have the case manager, oh, this one, nope. This one always just wants to step them down immediately. So we're just dealing with so many broken areas. And when we're trying to fight for our clients, I mean, I scholarship so many individuals because I know they're not ready to go home.
I do that every time.
All the time.
I'll never let a client leave because their insurance ran out.
Same.
I can't do it.
Same.
That means that I'm doing the same thing that the insurance company is doing, and they can stay until my clinical team says they're ready to go, or we've safely transitioned them to something to continue with that support. And you know what the cool thing about that is I really have never had to worry about my bills being paid. You know, like I get another client because I've been so good to this client.
Right.
Like we won't do that. That'll never happen.
I love
I
that.
have and plus on top of that, just because of this podcast and my I call him my son-in-law now because they were like he lived with me for 5 years. He was my daughter's first boyfriend. They would have gotten married, you know, probably within a year or so. And when I lost him, I'm just like, you know what? We give away 4, so we have like 6 treatment centers. We give away a scholarship at each one of them. Each one of the substance use disorder treatment centers. I don't like all the new terminology. I'm still like old school addiction treatment, drug rehab, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
We're just trying to save lives.
Right.
We scooped a girl up the other night. It was the coolest thing ever. Yeah. We went to this place. It was called the Magic House. And this guy is like, the guy that runs this place, he's like old school, you know, gangster, biker.
Yeah, cool guy.
Yeah. And
big heart though.
Yeah, huge heart. Preacher.
Yeah.
Does amazing things. Shane and I, we're fine on a podcast, but you get us up in front of public speaking.
We start to sweat.
Get nervous.
Yeah.
No, I'll do it though,
Yeah.
because I have a mission I'm just not as good as I am on a podcast.
Yeah, you
Because
are.
this is like
You are.
this is like
You
a
are.
very intimate conversation. There's
Right.
the three of us. I forget that she's even back there, and I forget most of the time that Michelangelo's there.
Yeah.
So anyways, this girl was detoxing fentanyl. She hadn't used in 3 days, and she was just in a blanket, just covered up. And we kind of went there to see if there was somebody to give our last scholarship away to. And she's at one of our programs, and she's doing amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that she's doing amazing. You know, it's 2 days, 2 days clean, but she's actually in detox, you know, getting better.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that I like to do. And I feel like, you know, you're the same.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
I mean, if I could save them all, I would.
Right?
You know, and I had to learn that early on because I would just go crazy a little bit. You know, it was kind of messing with me of like, oh my gosh, like I was fighting really, really hard if they wanted to leave treatment or.
Harder than them.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's so good.
Yeah. So I've changed it a bit to, okay, if I could save one life today, I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
You know, because it's hard. It's hard work that we do.
Right.
We're dealing with broken families, and it's a really bad place that they're in. So if we could just do what we need to do to save one life at a time, we're doing something, you know. But going and helping those that are on the streets, I mean, is huge because some don't have families to intervene on them
Right.
or the resources to get treatment. But what makes them a lost cause is a lot of people look at them like, oh, well, they're already pushing a shopping cart. This, I'm like, no, have you ever sat with them and got their backstory? Because I do it all the time.
Yeah.
And you come to find that a lot of them have very interesting stories, and they had something before their addiction too.
Right.
It's
Very
true.
nice,
Yeah.
very sweet people.
Yeah.
They're not even like, you know, for the most part, like most of them aren't very scary. It's not scary.
Not at all. I think it might be their defense mechanism or something. Because, you know, it's like a lot of them will just be walking around like talking to themselves, and people are just kind of like, I'm going to avoid.
Right.
And I make full on eye contact with them, and man, how things change real quick. They look back and it's like you could have a conversation,
Yeah.
you know. And my kids they're little, but they're always going up to them and asking them how their day's going, and just trying to give them any positive words of encouragement. When was it? Last week? I think it was like, Monday, because Easter was Sunday. We had gotten a bunch of, what are those? Caramel apples, right? For fundraisers. So I ordered a bunch of them for the facility to give to the clients. And my kids were like, well, let's give them to some of the homeless. They need to have an Easter too. So we had this guy who's walking, and we called him over. We gave it to him, and he's like, is today Easter? We're like, no, it's not Easter yet, but almost, buddy, almost. But the kids wanted to give this to you, and they're like, happy Easter, you know? And he's like, thank you guys. Like he was so happy to have that. And it's like, I'm trying to teach my kids at a young age, like what it is that they're struggling with, not to be afraid of them, not to downput them, not to judge them, but to know that if they're in that situation, they're having a hard time.
Yeah.
And what can we do to possibly make it a little bit easier for them for that day? Maybe we can't completely change their life around, but we can put a little bit of love and hope into their heart. And, you know, my kids are growing up learning that. And now they're coming to me saying they want to do these things, you know.
Nice.
So it's all about how we're educating these kids and what we're putting out there, and things like this, and getting together is important.
Yeah. How did you how did you start you got sober, you went to treatment. How did you start in the recovery industry?
Well, I went to treatment, then I started working at the program that I went to, and then I took a break and decided to go back to school to be a surgical tech. So my mom works in the medical field, and she always says, you know, there's security in the medical field, you know, so she wanted me to kind of take that path. And I did. I went to school, but I was doing interventions. So that's when I met Ken many years ago. And I did some of his trainings and started doing interventions. And I don't know, do you remember who John Southworth
Oh, yeah.
is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great guy.
Oh, the best.
Great guy.
Yeah, the best. He was a mentor of mine for years, mentor friend. I just love John. And he had a thing that he did in Boise that any local interventions were done for free. That's what he did through his whole career. He did not charge for anyone in Boise who needed a family intervention. And so that's what I started doing. I started doing all these local interventions in town and wouldn't charge anything for them. And then just slowly started going outside of my city and then state and started traveling the country doing interventions. And I did that for a long time, like every day. And I was in school. So then I was leaving school to do interventions. And one time my teacher, he had sat me down after class. He's like, I'm just curious, you know, if it was up to you, what would you do for the rest of your life? What's your passion? I said, I'd save people from addiction. I love what I'm doing. I want to help people regardless, but that's my passion. That's what I want to do. He says, and then why are you in school now? Because you leave class constantly the minute your phone rings to go do an intervention, to go help somebody. And something, you know, me just being an impatient person, I guess, you know, the little bit of addict in me, I sometimes don't think before I do. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. I stopped school. That was the last day I even went to school.
Oh,
Good
crap.
for you.
Yeah. I mean, my family thought I was crazy. They're like, wait a minute. I said, you know, I'm spending time in school, which is great, but there's more people who need my help, you
Right.
know, and that's what I'm good at. And that's my calling. That's my purpose. I was saved from my addiction to help others and go pull them out. And then I knew that everybody needs to start with the detox phase. So I started my facility as a detox only program because I'm a firm believer, even till this day, there's no cookie cutter program. Everybody needs something different, whether it's a small setting, large setting, gender specific, whatever it may be. But the first phase is detox. So I started the detox program so that way we could thoroughly assess what people need, and then we could send them to programs after, because I, through interventions, you know, work with a lot of different programs across the country. And yeah, so I mean, I didn't have anything to start my program. People ask me now, how did you get it started? You know, what did you do? And it's like, I didn't have any financial backing, which is like crazy, because I know now it's like, it's expensive, you know, to run any sort of company. And I just took a leap of faith and really just put my whole heart and soul into it. And pretty much lived at the facility for the first couple of years because I couldn't afford any staff. My grandmother did all the cooking. My grandpa would help me with transports. My husband did the overnight shift. So, you know, it's really started as a family-ran detox. And we still have that philosophy till this day. All of our team there at both locations, we really are just one big family. And so I stuck with my passion, and I told myself, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? It fails. But if I don't try, I'll never know. Right. I'd rather try it and it fail and say, at least I tried, than always wonder what if. Yeah. How many more lives would I have been able to save if I actually did it? So yeah, I mean, BFR has been open since 2015. We now have 2 locations in Central California, and I mean, that's my baby. Aside from my babies, BFR is my baby. It's my heart, and I love it. I love what we do there. We have a great team of people. I still do interventions as well. But yeah, I mean, we like working with other programs. I'm constantly connecting, and my team's learning about other facilities of what it is that they're offering that could be something different for what a client needs.
Yeah.
You know,
what does BFR stand for?
Bright Future Recovery.
Bright Future Recovery. What's your website?
BFRdetox.com.
BFRdetox.com.
I almost laugh. BFR, we say it, you know, but I had a client once who, you know, when someone asks me what it means and I say it, it always brings me back to this one time a client was really pissed off and we were just constantly intervening on him. And, you know, his family had set all these healthy boundaries and really just staying in treatment was his only option. And he put his bag by the door and he put a paper on it and he did BFR, big fucking retards. I'm like, I can't, you know? So now every time I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it could stand for a couple of things.
Yeah.
Originally stands for Bright Future Recovery, but, you know, now he's 6 years sober and he's doing great. So
That's awesome.
but I remind him that all the time. And he called me the warden. I was the warden with fake eyelashes. So, yeah, that lady is the warden with fake eyelashes, and she needs to stop talking to my family. You know. But
Oh
yeah.
man, that's
Everyone
good
needs
stuff
a
right
warden.
there. Yeah,
Everyone. Your mom was the warden here.
yeah.
Hey?
I
It's
love that.
it's a
Your
very,
mom-
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah, very
story.
similar.
My dad
Yeah.
and I started this program in 2002.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I was a young man. I was like 28 years old. 28. Yeah, 28 because we're in our 21st year at Hope by the Sea.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Mhm.
And they still involved your family?
they are retired
They're
completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
When COVID hit, I was like, my dad's 87.
Wow.
My mom is 75. And when COVID hit, I was just like, you know, it's kind of, even I got scared a tiny bit. They were really scaring us on the news right out the gate,
Yeah.
right? We didn't know anything about it. So I was like, you guys quarantine, you know, and of course, California shut down, right? So we have like 10 homes around the community. So I asked my staff, do you guys want to, you know, do telehealth from home or from the office? And every single one of them was like, oh, we want to come to the office.
Mm-hmm.
So we all came to the office every single day. And I was the guy that went to the grocery store and did all the shopping because, you know, I figured if I'm the guy on the front line, it's my company. I'm going to do all of that and make sure that like the clients are fed and everybody's happy and everybody's getting clean and, you know, doing the deal. So my parents quarantined for 9 months. And one day my mom, something happened. Her blood pressure went crazy. And so they literally called the ambulance. She was in the hospital. So I went over to feed my dad during the weekend. Well, I had COVID. I didn't know I had COVID. And I woke up on Monday morning and I was like, oh man, I'm not feeling very good. And so I had them swab me here at the office and I left at noon, went home, chilled on the couch, did my work, woke up on Tuesday morning. I was like, fuck, I got fucking COVID bad. I was so sick. And then I was like, oh my God, I was just with my dad. And then they ran over, swabbed my dad, and he had COVID. My dad's like, hey, I wouldn't even know.
Yeah, he didn't get sick at all.
He's like, I
Oh,
wouldn't.
wow.
Yeah. He was like 84 at the time, 84, 85. Yeah.
It was scary times.
He had all of the stuff too, like diabetic. You know, he's susceptible to pneumonia. He's
Oh,
like
wow.
everything, right? He
Oxygen
didn't even
levels.
get the cough. Like my mom got it. My mom and I were like, we had the cough.
Yeah.
You know, with it. But yeah, it was that was kind of when they retired.
It's good.
I had to kind of push my mom to retire because she'll work till my grandma worked till she
Yeah.
was like 90. My mom's the same way. She's bored at home, you know. But like
I bet
my
she loved it though. Like they helping you.
yeah, oh yeah,
know?
20 like 18 years.
Wow.
We were a team. Like my dad and I had partner desks for all that time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. My mom said she was cracking up the other day. She listened to this episode and I was talking about my dad. He's diabetic and like, just like alcoholics, crave alcohol, diabetics crave sugar.
Mhm.
And my dad is like the worst. He was like sitting there, like sneaking donuts in his desk drawer,
my
like literally. And I was like way down the hall and I see him open his
Oh my
drawer
Take a bite.
and take a bite. Yeah, and like I'm like I yell from down the hall. I'm like, Dad, are you eating a donut? And he slams it shut. He's no, I'm not. Oh man,
That's good time.
and I guess I said it on the podcast
Yeah.
the other day, and my mom was cracking
That's
up.
nice.
She said she was laughing so hard. My dad was like, "Why are you laughing?" Because he wasn't listening to the podcast.
That's funny.
So yeah, we're similar in the fact that, you know, like my family has all been involved. My sister, so it was my dad and I, this girl Cindy, and my ex-wife, who works 2 doors down, and we all started it together, and my dad drove clients to the 7 a.m. AA meeting in the beginning, and we'd take them at night, and Cindy lived in the house, and
I love that though. I mean, I just feel that our clients feel that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just different. I mean, my grandparents still out there helping.
Yeah.
Too, mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
The clients go out and help them. Like, it's good stuff. Those are memories that I'm gonna cherish
for sure.
Ever.
And I'll tell you something. That's bringing me back to the clients. What are some biggest hurdles you're finding? Because you're mentioning family in your business. How about family in recovery? Key.
Family in recovery.
Yeah. Like family standing behind you.
Oh yeah.
You.
Oh, huge.
Huge.
Yeah, I mean, and that's even like I actually use like someone that's diabetic all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, sometimes we have to use analogies for them to understand, because this is so foreign, and nobody's handed a manual of what to do if your kid becomes an addict, or your spouse or your parent or whatever. But in simple terms, it's like, okay, well, if your loved one goes to the doctor and is diabetic, and the doctor says, like, look, you can't have any sugar, you have 3 months to live. Are you going to go make a homemade apple pie right in front of them? No. It's going to scare you shitless, and you're going to say, like, okay, we got to cut all this out. Well, it's the same thing when we're dealing with somebody who is struggling with addiction. It's like, okay, what can the family do to support? And, we hear all the time, well, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't have a problem with it. No, but they do. So if that means you need to cut all of that out of your personal life to support them, so that we're not planning a funeral in a couple of months, that's what you need to do.
Right.
And really just educating our families, I feel is huge, because a lot of times they come in and their family that's so focused on the one that's struggling, but we need to be focusing on the families as well to be of support for them, because they're going through it. It's a domino effect.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going through it sober. So their loved one is struggling with substance abuse, and they're fogged over and they're not thinking clearly. But what about the families who are trying to cope with this and feeling all the emotions of their addiction, anger, hurt, fear, So I feel like that's extremely important. Do you guys incorporate your families?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a family program. We had a weekend one that everybody came to. Currently, we found that because of COVID, we can reach such a further distance and more of our families through Zoom. So we have a Zoom family program that we do.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. I feel it's important, especially because sometimes families, I mean, you have the ones that are really involved who want to know, like, what do I need to do? What can I do?
Right.
And then you have the ones where it's like, well, shit, there might be a reason they're actually in treatment because of, what the family is putting them through as well. And that gets really tricky, because it's like, oh, well, don't turn this on me. It's them. I'm fine. It's them. Fix them, And so I just feel like having them work together and just sorting out those differences is extremely important.
I liked what you said though, because sometimes like the family will be like, well, I'm not an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But can you not have a drink at when you take your kid out to dinner?
Right.
Like come pick your kid up at Rehab and take him out to dinner and not have a glass of wine or a cocktail. Exactly. Because if you can't, you might want to look at that.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
You really might want to look at that. Mm-hmm.
Every time you go to a restaurant, do you have to order something?
Yeah.
Every time there's a social gathering, do you have to have a drink?
Right.
And that goes with different levels of alcoholism too. And I feel like that's where our society in general, aside from, being an addict, is really looking at that of, there's the ones that maybe they don't drink for an entire month, but when they do drink, they black out and they're getting a DUI or crashing or who knows what's happening. Yeah. And then you have the drinker who has to have 2 glasses or 3 glasses of wine every single night, but never blacks out drunk.
Right.
So it's, that's where I tell people, you got to ask yourself, like, is this causing any conflict within my family, my relationship, my job? Is it interfering in any way that it could be a problem? Because
health concerns too. My mother used to drink wine, just like you said, 1 or 2 glasses of wine a night, thinking no big deal, but her enzymes in her liver came back bad.
Right. Exactly.
She's stopped now. It's been a month, but she
Wow.
was tough
Good for her.
it was tough for her to stop.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you look at it as it's like, well, I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
a casual unwind at
Yeah,
the end of the
unwind,
day.
yeah.
And there's so many people that do that.
Yeah.
And it's like
Most people do.
Everybody
most
does.
people do. Yeah,
You know?
totally.
And if you're in California, most people smoke weed.
Yeah.
right.
I'm like,
That's
I just get like shocked sometimes. I'm like, you smoke weed? Like you look like a librarian.
Yeah. Or now you just smell it everywhere.
Oh yeah,
It's crazy.
You
It's
drive
like
down
you
the
used to-
road, and you can sometimes you smell it coming through the vents in your car. I'm like,
Yes.
what the hell?
Yes. Oh, times are changing.
Yeah.
When I was young, marijuana was a felony.
Right.
Not just like the harder drugs, but marijuana. You got caught with a bag of marijuana, you were going to jail.
Yep.
It's insane.
It's crazy. Well, is it Oregon that they're legalizing?
Everything.
All drugs.
Portland's a nightmare here.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew they were legalizing opiates, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Not like you can buy them in the store, but which is like even more crazy because illicit fentanyl, there's no safe dose. You can't, like, you're playing Russian. It's worse than Russian roulette. It's like Russian roulette with like 4 bullets in the 6-barrel chamber. It's just so scary, man.
So scary. What's another hurdle you're seeing today in kids? That's changed.
That's changed.
Yeah.
Well, I think music's always been pretty bad. It's in it, but now it's like really, music, like these kids are listening to their favorite rapper and it's like cool, and it's like the lyrics in the song is like, oh, what's that? That sounds cool.
Yeah.
And it's like, they don't know. And it is in everything or lean. And they make all these, it's in videos. It's like, it's crazy how they're almost advertising as it's okay.
Right.
And it's like, it's not okay, and these kids don't know any different. Like you had said, like a rainbow fentanyl. My son went to school around Halloween last year and he told all the kids at school, he's like, make sure your parents check your candy because there might be fentanyl in there. And all the parents are coming after me. I'm like, oh my gosh, my son is 9. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing that he's, know all the details, but it's sad and it's scary that we have to be that on alert.
Right.
With it now. You don't know what they're going to take from somebody if it's not coming from, a packaged bag of candy and it's just open and it's like, here, try this. And they got it from their big brother's room or a cousin's room and you don't know what's in it. Like, that's crazy. It's insane. But I feel like that's like a big one too. I just feel like the society, everything's changing and these kids are becoming confused. And now it's like, even with all, the shootings and everything, it's like now the world is becoming depressing. And that's scary too. It's like, okay, so what are we doing for our kids to help them cope with anxiety and depression when they don't even know what that is? They don't even know what they're feeling.
Yeah.
So how do we even bring that topic up without bringing something into their mind maybe they didn't even know or they aren't feeling?
Right.
What questions to ask? I mean, that's even a question I have as a mom too.
I hear what you're saying.
My-
So
I mean,
why
my-
even
my-
open that door?
Yeah, well,
Right.
my wife was
If they don't-
my wife was saying that the other day. She like called the she took my daughter to see a therapist, and she was like, "Please don't tell her that she has anxiety right off the bat.
Right.
Don't just say you have anxiety and put it in her head because like then all of her, it's like a lot of the kids are that's what they're diagnosed
Yeah.
with right now.
Like back in the
Exactly.
old days, was ADD 10, 20 years ago. Give them Adderall.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the first thing the therapist said at the end of the session was, "You have anxiety."
Yeah.
My wife was kind of pissed.
Fuck yeah.
No, but
She's
if
spicy.
it's true, like how can we figure out different terminologies for our
Yeah.
kids to know so they're not walking around saying, well, because then it's also
Right.
like excuses. And that goes back to
Right.
the prescription
That's-
pills of,
Yeah.
well, the doctor, prescribed it to me. I
Yeah,
need this.
I need the Xanax because
need
don't you
it.
know that I have anxiety? And my thing is though is, don't you know that the biggest side effects from Xanax is
It's
anxiety?
Exactly.
So you're taking it for anxiety. It'll cure your anxiety for a short period of time. And then when you don't have the pill, your anxiety is actually going to be worse than it was before you ever took the pill.
Yep.
So that's the insanity of
Well, we
of
all
it
have
all.
anxiety and depression.
Everybody.
Everybody.
This is natural.
Yeah, totally natural. You take a test, you feel anxious.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been working in the same field for 20 years, but yet you move locations, you're going to feel anxious.
Yeah.
You lose someone, you feel depressed. Like
Yeah.
we all have that. So instead of just medicating, it's like, okay, how do we cope with it? Because we all just cope with different, anxiety differently. And I think that's where some of us tend to fall on substances. But I mean, I didn't know anything about drugs before. I just was like, oh yeah, well, oh, that makes me feel good. Perfect. So
Yeah.
at first you're doing it for fun and to party or whatever. And now it's like, okay, I can't even handle the breakup I just had with my boyfriend. Can I have more of that, please?
Yeah.
So
Went straight to the bottle on a breakup.
Totally.
It was like, man, I need to get drunk.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Yep.
Did you ever do that?
No,
You never. Oh,
No.
you never got broke up with?
I smoke marijuana instead of drinking.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep. That was your outlet. And everybody has different ones,
Right.
So it's like, especially in these kids, like what we need to be able to teach them different ways to cope
Yeah.
when they're feeling certain ways, but being cautious of saying, oh, you're having anxiety right now. Okay, well, we need to do this instead of just, how are you feeling? Because yes, everyone's just diagnosing. I mean, I don't think that's changed at all. If anything, it's gotten worse. The prescription pad is just there,
yeah.
Having that conversation with a therapist would be or not a therapist, I'm sorry, a psychiatrist would
Yeah.
be interesting.
Yeah.
They're all
They're-
We had a
meds.
we had a psychiatrist. Well, we had our psychiatrist in here, who's also a lieutenant colonel. She's amazing. She has the same philosophy, very similar to mine. You know,
Yeah.
she doesn't just write prescriptions.
We got to assess. And it's not saying that not everybody could be, completely abstinent of a medication.
Right.
That's that's definitely not it. And that comes with maintenance as well, but I think we at least owe it to the individual to do a thorough assessment.
Yeah.
In 1 hour of a conversation, that is not a thorough assessment. There's no way we're going to be able to say whether somebody needs to be on long-term medication maintenance or not.
Well, and when you talk medication maintenance, it's not a matter of Xanax or Valium. There is antidepressants out there that can help take that hole away from you.
Totally.
Help with that.
If somebody's fresh in recovery, though, and
Yeah.
they've only been, let's say, 15 days sober, who's to say that they actually need to be on a long-term antidepressant?
I agree.
Too. So
I can
it's
tell
like,
you who the insurance companies
Yeah.
say they do.
right?
Right. I mean, that's what they're telling us.
Totally.
Oh, what medication are you guys prescribing for them? Oh, you want more RTC? Then you better be prescribing a med.
Okay, well, now they need more meds because last time they were in treatment, they were on those same 3 meds, and now
Right.
they need a 4th med.
Right now, they need a 4th.
Yeah.
It's
that.
insanity.
It's
This is this is the type of change though that needs to be forced.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how you go up against the insurance companies, except for you have to go up against Congress to force them
Right.
to. So they're going to have to write a law that forces these people to do the right thing because they're not doing the right thing.
No.
And it doesn't make sense to me because it seems to me that if you gave somebody 1 year of treatment, right? 1 year, you gave them X amount, whatever, like we decide, right? You need this many days of RTC. You need this many days of PHP. You need this many days of IOP. You need some housing through here and some case management, which it becomes very cheap on the tail end.
Totally.
Not expensive at all.
No.
There's a heavy cost up front, but you do this one time. I mean, it's going to be less times this person goes to treatment. And on top of that, they're going to have less health problems because I rarely go to the doctor and use my insurance unless I do something stupid like injure myself playing basketball or some other sports because I think I'm 20 still. But if they looked at the bigger picture, it seems to me that they would actually save money
Right.
over time.
Absolutely.
Instead of putting people into detox over and over and over again, detox RTC. I mean, we're running up the bills.
Totally. And incorporating interventions, and I know like Ken's been working on that for years, but incorporating the intervention piece in insurance should be covering it.
Oh, for sure.
And so many people have like a misunderstanding that, interventions forcing someone to go to treatment. It's working with the family system to set boundaries, healthy boundaries, as well as come up with a plan for everybody to follow. It's not just about the one suffering. It's everybody. While they're in treatment, what does a family need to be doing to support them in treatment? Do they need to be making any changes? You know, when you address it that way, you have bigger ears, you know, with the one struggling, like, oh, it's not just about me, it's the family too. Well, they need this. Okay, well, that's what we're going to work on. And you incorporate that. Now we're just setting them all up for a lot more success. And if somebody can maintain an entire year of sobriety, statistically proven, they have a lot better chance long-term than relapsing if you only go to treatment for 30 days and you're right back home.
30 days. I mean, I don't know what the actual statistics are, but I've always heard like 10% make it on a 30-day program. It's probably less than that.
I'm sure it's less. I almost would want to even say, you know, like 3. I mean, I don't know either.
1,
but
2, 3%.
very low.
Very
low.
low.
Very.
It's definitely not 10%.
And 90%,
not
even 90 days is not. It's not enough.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not.
You know, thank God somebody said, "Hey, I got a little nudge from the judge," and he was like, "You're staying 365 days. You don't have a choice."
Yep.
Best thing that ever happened to me.
Totally.
And I had already been in rehab for 90 days before he said that to me. So it was 12 plus 3.
Yeah.
15 months.
And it makes a difference.
Yeah.
That time. Time to let your mind heal.
Yeah.
You've been doing drugs or drinking for so many years. How do you expect it just to boom clear up like that?
Oh, because we're talking about damage to the brain.
Totally.
And the brain doesn't heal that fast. There's no way in hell that somebody's frontal lobe is working good enough, even after 30 days, to say you're well enough to start taking your own meds as prescribed. You're able to start paying your own bills, live in your own house, ready to go at 30 days. And insurance companies aren't even giving us that, right? Mm-hmm. So some of them, there's one, and I'm not going to mention their name, but they're like on the East Coast and up high. They literally, it's a cookie cutter. So how can you have a cookie cutter, what you're going to give somebody coming into treatment? And they give 3 to 5 days maximum for detox, 3 most of the time. 7 to 10 days maximum RTC. How many days is that? Let's go with the maximum.
It's 12.
It's 15 with the maximum, right? 15 days RTC. Then they're saying this person. Oh, and actually, I take that back. They don't even have PHP on their policies.
Right to IOP.
So they go straight to IOP. 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, living on their own is what the technical definition of IOP is, right? I don't know if that's appropriate time.
That's at 20 days, right?
That's at 15 days.
15 days.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
That person is going to relapse. If we do exactly what the insurance company wants us to do, that person is loaded by fucking day 20.
For sure. I mean, and like I said earlier, it took me at least 5 months to start clearing up.
Me too.
To where the thoughts were passing by a little bit quicker. You know what I mean? Like at the beginning, I was like thinking about using and it would stick and then it would pass. I'd have to really talk myself out of, okay, let it go. But 5 months, I'm still thinking about it. And it over time, you know, year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, then it's really, you know, but, and that was I would say my use was pretty short. I think about 3.5 years. So take somebody who's been an addict for 10, 15, 20 years, and they're not, I mean, it takes much longer than that.
Right. Done some serious damage to the brain, especially to the frontal lobe. Everybody's like, you know, not everybody, but you sometimes hear like normal people who don't have this. They're like, well, it's a choice. Mm-hmm. It's not a choice. When I mean, you can look at Dr. Amen's studies, and he proves that the frontal lobe's not even working.
Right.
So there you go. There's no reason. There's no reasoning or logical thinking happening. Period. It's just impulse, and we're doing things straight off of impulse. All of a sudden, it's like, you know, I don't like this feeling. I need to go get loaded.
Yeah.
And you're gone, and there's nothing that can stop you. You know.
Well, and I tell families too, it's like instead of trying to diagnose and pick apart why they're using, and like it is, if they say it is a choice, they say it all the time. I don't understand why they just can't get sober. Well, don't worry about that. This is where we are now. So you have professionals in front of you that are able to help educate you and guide you of what needs to be done to fix this situation. Like that's what we need to focus on.
Yeah.
So many just I don't understand. Well, we're not really asking anyone to fully understand. You're not in their shoes.
Right.
But what you need to do is try to understand of how you could be of support to get them better. If you can't take the time to really understand the whole back end of addiction and where it starts from the beginning.
I always just cut it down to mental health with families now. They all, rarely do they disagree. Is your son a little crazy? Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's had signs of mental illness.
Yeah.
Always. I'm 95% all the time. There's a mental illness somewhere. Mm-hmm. Or mental health of some kind.
Right.
Always.
Yeah.
A mental health issue.
Yeah, always.
Well, and I think that a lot of people looked at mental health and it kind of almost
scared them away.
Totally.
Yeah, like it's taboo. I don't want to be on the fourth floor of the hospital.
I don't want to put myself in that category if I have mental health issues. But yet now,
substance abuse is a mental health issue.
Completely.
Totally.
100%.
But yet
100%.
There's people do yoga and meditate, and that's for our mental health.
Yeah.
But when you put it in that term, it sounds healthy.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
Talk about being sick, and then it's like mental health issues. Ooh.
Oh no, I'm not schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Like, you don't lock me up in a room.
Yeah. But it's like that's our biggest organ in our body. We got to take care of our
100%.
mind. Otherwise, we're not going to take care of anything else.
100%.
So we have to, even now, I still do so much for my mental health. Like it's
What are you
so
doing?
important. I try to do some sort of retreat once a year.
Yeah. Nice.
I did On-Site. Have you heard of On-Site?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
That was a great one. I wish I would have done it way sooner. But that's important for us to be able to stay on top of that and learn more. We're working in a field that is definitely exhausting too, and it's hard. So we need to be able to focus on ourselves and continue that so we can mentally, physically be well for ourselves, our families, our clients, friends, everybody,
Yeah. I relapsed as a treatment owner.
Did you?
Yeah, it was gnarly. I'm all about we have to continue to work on our own mental health because we see the worst of the worst every single day. And even especially now it's way worse.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that my relapse was because I really stopped talking to God on a regular basis. I was like, you know what, God, I got myself here, which I didn't. I hadn't got myself there. He did. He got me to where I was. And I was like, I'll take over from here. Mm-hmm. And I just went, when I put myself in the driver's seat of my own life, I will drive that bus at 100 miles an hour into a brick wall. Mm-hmm. That's what I'll do.
Right.
So I'm really big on that. And I'm very structured and routined in because of that relapse in my own sanity. I do a routine that I do every single morning, and it's my prayers and my meditations, and no matter what I have to do to get up to make sure that happens, that's what I do.
But then that's good. And then sharing that too, because how many times do we hear, I know what I need to do.
Right.
I know what I need to do. And it's well, no, you don't always know what you need to do. You have to understand that there's more to than just what you're going to do. If it's just based on our decisions only, sometimes we can set ourselves up for disaster.
Yeah.
So what is our support, whether it's our higher power or whatever it is that we need to, and pray and stay religious and not just pray to God when we need something,
right,
but to also count our blessings and gratitude too is so important.
It's so much better to pray when you're just thankful for everything that God has given you. I'm just thank you for this life. But still there's days when things are hard, mm-hmm, or I'm scared, or, being a business owner sometimes can be very scary. I think it was very courageous of you to follow your dream. That I did the same thing. I knew when I almost died in a car accident. I say this a lot, but I almost died in a car accident on December 9th. And 5 days later, my daughter was born. And I knew that God had left me here for two reasons. One, to be a dad. And the other one was to help other people that suffer with the same thing that I suffer from. And now it's 22 years later, and I know for a fact that that's why he left me here, because that's what I'm doing. And it's been an amazing journey, and it's not even close to over yet.
Right.
You know, we got this cool ass podcast now, and it's like, we didn't have these tools, like this tool,
Right.
even like, I mean, it was available 5 years ago, but nobody was thinking, hey, let's do a podcast. Now, like, I'm so hearing so many people, you're going to do a podcast, right? Are you going to, are you going to say it right now on well, you're not like on air, but it's being recorded.
I like that on air sign. You know, well, what's interesting to me, so I love to write. I love writing, but I'm not a big reader. So I'm a listener, hands-on. I need to, you know, visualize or hear something. So I feel like podcasts, and it's newer, it's what for a lot of people, such as myself, that just didn't really pick up a book as much, and you can just like listen, right? Like you had Audible books, and now you have this with different people talking about different topics and getting to know each other. And it's almost like going to a meeting. Yeah. You gain something.
I agree.
Yeah.
From some, you know,
that's if you're listening.
Yeah. That's
right?
if you're
listening.
Totally. But if you find interest in it, then it's like, oh, wow, you know, I'm going to take something from that. Or, you know, I really like what they said, and that's going to stick, and that resonates with me, you know, and I feel like that's what's awesome. And I love that you're doing this, and thank you for doing this, because you're spreading a word on another level that we couldn't do before.
Right. And that's where I was going with it, because now we have this platform, and everyone that, and I'm not just inviting like, you know, people that think exactly like me. I'm inviting everybody. But when we get down to the root topic of what are we going to do and how are we going to band together, everybody is saying the same thing. And we have a common theme of, you know, really trying to make a difference in our community. And not just the fentanyl, but fentanyl is a crisis. It is really bad. So that's, you know, that's in the forefront and on the front burner. And we're just, but once we tackle the fentanyl crisis, there's still methamphetamines. There's still heroin will be right back on the streets, you know, in 2 seconds if fentanyl's gone, or if people stop buying fentanyl, heroin will be back on the streets, right? There's still cocaine. There's still crack. There's still doctors prescribing Xanax, other opiates, Adderall. We had a girl on just right before you came, to just, you know, brand new in treatment, talking about, you know, her drug of choice was Adderall, and she would go into Adderall psychosis, you know? So it's not just the fentanyl, but because of the fentanyl, I mean, we've got to be out there. We have to band together. We, you know, I hope that, I'm so, for, everybody, like, creating a platform like this, and I'll support anybody that does this, especially, you know, when I hear you talk, and you know, you say that message to people over and over and over again, they'll start to hear it, and they'll start to understand that this is a crisis, because there's not a lot of people in this world that don't know somebody, especially in America, that hasn't died from a fentanyl poisoning. And we call it that. We learned that from this guy, Mike Fiore.
There's no safe.
Because an overdose is an excessive use of a drug, right? But there's no safe dosage of fentanyl. None. It's a couple of grains of salt. Yeah. Is lethal.
And it's in everything now.
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah. Marijuana, everything.
Cocaine, marijuana. This is my little guy. I don't know. He's on the podcast.
Yeah, I just feel addiction, we just have to speak out. I feel like it was one of those things like, well, I don't want anyone to know that my family's struggling with this. You know, we used to hear that all the time. I mean, gosh, my mom was one of them. Yeah. You know, she didn't want people to really know that her daughter was in treatment for heroin. Yeah. Like, that's like, what? But now it's like, no, speak up. Yeah. You know, we got to share our story, because you know what? If you go to work and you tell someone like, oh, my daughter, you know, is in treatment, guaranteed you're going to have that room full of other people that are going through
100%
the same thing,
100%
different substances, you know, or mental health or whatever. And it's like, the more support we are showing these families, like, we get it. Yeah. We get you. We get what you're going through. and we're here to help any way that we can, like that alone is making a difference. And I feel like we're getting a little bit better as a society with speaking up about it than it was before. It was so hush hush.
Getting rid of the stigma of addiction, getting rid of the stigma of mental health, rebuilding our reputation in the treatment community, because it did get tainted in the I call it the gold rush days. Obviously they made a movie about it.
Yeah.
Which that didn't help our reputation, right?
Totally.
There's so many good players in this game.
Yeah.
And treatment is important.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say this, that even when you're a professional in the industry, if somebody in your family is going through addiction, you have to reach out to other professionals, because you'll do the wrong thing.
Agreed.
Every time.
Yeah,
Every time.
did.
Yeah.
Like my daughter was struggling, and I had to get an intervention. I had to get other people, interventionist. I couldn't do it on my own.
Yeah.
Same. It was hard for me to not give her $20 to go out and, do something.
Yeah, I had a brother struggling too, and you can't treat a family member.
No.
You want to save them and jump in, and I'm guilty of that over and over and over again, of not able to take my own advice sometimes too, because that's my little brother.
Right.
If I could try to save him and help him do this, I'm going to do it. It doesn't always mean I'm doing it the right way, and having to step away and let other professionals step in is extremely important, to say like, okay, I need to be a family member, not the professional.
Right.
And a lot of times they need that.
They need
even
that.
more than we need that.
I agree.
You're doing them a disservice.
100%.
And I like that, because I want people to understand that, like, we'll ask for help. Like, us as professionals, when it's our family members, we need to ask for help too. So don't be, and I'm saying this to like family members, don't be afraid to ask for help. Pick up that phone and, because damn, you don't want to get that phone call that somebody's dead.
Yeah.
Like it's still like, I get super emotional, because like today's that 7-year anniversary. I was like sitting in my car when I got here, and because I was doing a post, because that's my why. Like, people ask, I mean, I don't know if nobody really asked me, but like I watch a lot of motivational stuff, and like Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, he always asks, "What's your why? Why do you do this?" And that's my why for this podcast and for this movement. And like it's such a strong why for me, that I'm taking all of my hurt, all of my pain, all of my daughter's hurt, all of like even like Justin's pain that he had before he died. I'm wrapping it all up, and like I'm coming after them, whoever them are.
Yeah.
Them that sell the drugs, them that create the laws, them that make the drugs. Like, I'm coming after them.
Yeah.
And I won't stop. Like, I have nothing else to do. I already made it in life. Like, I really have. Like, I have become successful in life. So this is like my mission now. Like, Shane and I are sitting in here like 4 hours a day podcast. I mean, we're a little bit ahead of schedule, and we're a little crazy right now. And we will slow down.
We're a lot of crazy.
Yeah,
will.
It's like a month, right?
Yeah,
How many episodes have we done?
Like, it's like 27.
Yeah, we're having
It's
a
a lot.
blast though. It's a good time.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun though. And like, after being on, I should start asking guests, how did you feel before you came to the podcast? Like, what were your thoughts? Did you have like a expectation of what the podcast would be like?
No, I mean, we obviously know like the main topic, right?
Yeah.
But what I love is that we all didn't know really how the conversation was going to go.
Right.
No.
There was no sheet of, what would you like to talk about, or what have you talked about? What, you know what I mean? And I feel like for that, I'm that type of person that like I need to walk in and just be like, what's going to happen? It's going to happen.
Right.
But I really like that, is because it's open and honest of what this conversation needs to be about today. And I feel like with any conversation that you guys have had, I'm sure is the same thing. Whatever needs to be said and heard that day
It's happening.
is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
You
why
know?
we decided to leave it raw.
Yeah.
You know, raw, untouched.
Raw and real.
Yeah. This podcast will come up. You'll even see me go like, "Oh, mark that," or you know,
Yeah.
yesterday he did something stupid. And I already went home and told my wife, so she prepared before.
Why'd you do that, bro? Come on.
Why not?
Come on, man. He's scared of his wife. I'm scared of mine too, so it's okay. That's the way we should be.
Yeah.
Shit, right?
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
I love
funny.
my wife though.
Yeah.
She's great. I'm just grateful that like she's supportive of this podcast because like
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know. It could be weird because like our business is getting put out there
Right.
too.
Right,
You know, my
right,
business,
right.
and I've been a private guy since I got sober the last time, because I was like in the spotlight, and then I went out and being in the treatment industry. You know, like as soon as the Broomer mill hit, it didn't feel good.
No.
You know,
Yeah,
and
Get it.
and people like say whatever they're gonna say, and I had to come up one more time out of the trenches because I got really sick. Like my disease progressed while I was clean, and on top of that, I had money when I relapsed, so the drugs were plentiful,
Right.
and it was scary times for a lot of people, for my family, for myself, for my children who had never seen that guy, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the point was that I was making, except for the fact that like, I was more of a public person before I relapsed, and I decided when I got clean, I shut down all my social media and I created new ones, and I only had people that were in my life. I had 97 people that followed me on Instagram, and I think I had like 100 people on Facebook. And that was all it was. And I knew every one of those people personally. They were friends or family. And after Justin died, it was like I felt like God said, okay, you're ready to like be in the public eye again. Because I won't go down that road again. And it just, and now I'm ready.
Yeah.
You know? But it was hard being a treatment owner, and I just put my head down and hid after that because like people talk shit.
They do.
You know, they think
Yeah.
they're fucking better than or
hard.
above it, or oh my God, how could he be back at working in treatment? He only has a year clean and sober.
Yeah.
I didn't
Or
lose.
shame on us that, you make money because people
Yeah.
are suffering. I can't stand that one,
Oh, yeah.
And it's like we're working in a field of just people are sick.
Oh yeah.
And that's, but it's hard because it's like I'm a people person,
Yeah.
and it's like I shouldn't care. And they was like, who cares what people think? I do care. I do care because I don't like conflict. I don't like any of that. I want to get along with everybody.
Yeah.
And, when we're working in treatment, yeah, we have a different type of spotlight on us. It's a little bit different. And
Right.
it's sometimes can be very uncomfortable, and you have those ones that thank you so much for what you do.
Right.
Thank you for everything you're doing. And then you have the other ones that are just shaming you for it
Yeah.
at the same
Yeah.
time.
I have
you
ones
know?
that thank me for it until they find out that my treatment center is in their neighborhood. And then they're like, oh, how could you put it here though?
Yeah. Yeah. You're in recovery too?
Yes.
You said your mom called on you too.
Oh yeah.
See, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
we need to go home and thank our parents.
Yeah,
Well,
he
it's
used
all
to-
family. It's all
Yeah.
family. If you don't have family, you're fucked. Let's face it.
Yeah.
And it's a bigger struggle.
It
So you got
is
to
a
find
bigger
an outside family and love from someone like you or Chad
Right.
to get back into God's graces, because we
Totally.
need God and family.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Those are the two big things.
Mm-hmm.
God is huge in this whole ordeal.
Huge.
And I feel like right now in this day and age that there is the biggest spiritual warfare going on that I've ever witnessed, and it's probably in a long time, because there's this great divide going on of
Right.
like good and evil. And I'm choosing to like be a warrior of good and creating community and really trying to make a difference in this world.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are lacking a lot of hope.
They are lacking hope.
You know, so with that comes anger and doubt, a lot of doubt. And so they need to hold on to the faith, which I feel right now is just so hard for everybody with everything going on in the world. So we just have to be those people of reason and voice for them and let them know, like, we are here.
Yeah.
You know, people don't have to be alone and broken.
Listen, people are waking up miserable and mad.
Yeah.
That's everyone's life getting
Yes.
up. Who wants to drive an hour to LA to go to work? Who wants to
Right.
drive an hour to Orange County to go to work? Nobody. So we're waking up with pain and misery, and we have to work throughout the day to become comfortable.
Yeah, and you're scared to send your kids to school.
This is
You
what I'm
know?
saying.
There's so much. It's like I don't even want to turn on the news.
This
No.
Forget it. It scares me.
Yeah.
It
This is
just
why
gets
we
my
need-
heart going. I'm
This
just
is why
like,
you need a
I
routine.
do like 15 minutes a day because
Yeah.
I want to hear a little something.
yeah,
But it's like anything more than 15 minutes, they just repeat the same thing over and over again. It's like
Right.
if you can catch 15 minutes. I mean, and it's like then on top of that, it's like which news channel do I watch? Because this one is this left, this one is this right. You know, it's just like I can get political because I am political, but it's not my podcast is not political at all.
I'll be
at all.
the next one.
Maybe.
You're gonna have a political podcast. Your next podcast.
I do want to put political people on my podcast.
This one will get.
I actually do
political
want to.
when it's the right time.
I do want to
Yeah.
get like because like I'll put anybody on this podcast. I'll put the Speaker of the House on the podcast. I'll put AOC on the podcast. Why the fuck not? I want to hear what the fuck she
Yeah,
has to say
of
about
course.
fentanyl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if she has something good to say about fentanyl and Marjorie Taylor Greene has something good to say about fentanyl, whoa, you guys might be able to agree on something and we could get something done to
Right.
stop this fentanyl crisis. You know, like I'm not
Be the connector.
everybody knows. I mean, if you just watch my Instagram long enough, you'll figure out where I lean.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to not get help because they think that somebody leans the wrong way. You know, I don't care if somebody comes to any of our treatment centers or your treatment center. I just want people to get better. You know,
Agreed.
I don't want any more people to die from this. And since we've been sitting here, it's been what, like an hour and 30 minutes? Did you know it's been an hour and 30 minutes?
No.
Did it seem that long?
Mm-mm. Not at all.
The only reason I know is that's an hourglass and he flipped it right when we started. And I looked over like 20 minutes ago and I was like, holy shit.
It's gone already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did I. I looked over and I thought, why did we flip it? It went too fast.
So in that hour and 30 minutes, like 7 people have died
Yeah.
from fentanyl poisoning.
I'm not sick. I
Yeah.
hate that. I hate it.
It's disgusting.
It is. I can't stand it. We just have to do more. I think there's not enough that we're doing, and it's like we're watching it happen. And it's like, well, what can we do about it? You know? So it's like we have to, aside from talking about it, I feel like we need to be able, like, I mean, San Francisco, I don't know how it is over here in LA. I'm sure very similar, but it's
Not quite as bad, but it's bad.
Yeah.
it's bad. Like, it's bad. If you walk those streets, it is just absolutely mind-blowing. And they're so comfortable out there.
But San Fran and LA are places where souls go to look for some kind of peace. And
Yeah.
a lot of them don't find it. San
No.
Fran's that area,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Where lost
Oh, yeah.
souls go all over the
Yeah, I
country.
mean, it's just
They go
like
to San Fran, they go to LA to find something they're looking for.
Yeah.
It's bad though.
Yeah,
Now
it's
it's not
bad.
the same place anymore.
No.
Like you don't go to San Francisco. Like I used to like going to San Francisco. I won't go anymore. Not right now.
Yeah.
I don't go to LA either.
Yeah.
You know, why would I leave beautiful Dana Point,
Yeah.
South Orange County?
Yeah. Yeah.
So where are your treatment centers at?
Hollister,
Hollister
which is kind of near Santa Cruz, I guess you could say, and San Luis Obispo.
and San Luis Obispo.
Mm-hmm.
How far away are those from each other?
2 hours and 15 minutes.
2 hours?
Yeah.
Both RTC, detox RTC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Men and women?
It is co-ed.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
How many beds each place?
Hollister has 12 and the one in Slow has 6.
6. Nice.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah.
How long ago did you start this?
2015.
Am I like sounding funny because it sounds funny in my headphones? Yeah, I was like cutting out. Do you hear that?
Out. That's what I heard. Out.
Out.
Cutting out.
When did you? What year did you start your program?
2015.
2015.
Oh, sorry.
18 beds.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
that's so awesome.
Yeah.
And you're, I recall seeing that you're gonna be opening up PHP IOP.
Yes.
Awesome.
In Hollister, local community. Yeah, that's where I'm from, born and raised, and there's just not much, so I need to do more
Yeah,
for our locals and our community.
I mean, we Hope's always been that. All levels of care. It's kind of how we started. I mean, when we started, there was like not a lot of regulations, and it was all cash pay patients. But I love the fact that somebody can stay and do their full continuum of care.
Yeah.
So good for them.
Yeah, I agree. I also feel like a place if they need to get out of the area, because sometimes we have locals that need to go.
Yeah.
It's better for them to be honest, majority of our locals we don't take, depending on what their circumstances are. But a lot of them I'll say, well, kind of out of sight, out of mind. Even though, we're here in your backyard, that's not always in your best interest. So let's look at some other options for you. But at least once they're done with that big chunk of it, then they have a place to have continuum of care when they come home.
Yeah.
Because right now we just don't have that. So I'm really excited to be able to offer that.
That's great.
Yeah.
How about in network contracts? You're in network with everybody?
That's what I was going to ask.
What was that?
In network contracts?
Yeah, we are a network. Not with everybody, but with Anthem, Aetna, HealthNet, Halcyon, TRICARE. We've been working on Medi-Cal, drug Medi-Cal. It just seems to be a really lengthy process.
Yeah.
But we're working on it.
Nice.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
Those are all good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I love it.
We're in networks with pretty much everybody, except for United Healthcare.
Okay.
Each program we keep getting denied. I don't know what United Healthcare's problem is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like, do they not want to pay in network rates to people? I would think that they would want to,
You
because
would-
their out of networks are higher.
Right. You would think. Yeah.
They
I
keep
mean-
saying that they're saturated in our areas, but like, I don't think there's anybody up in Lake Arrowhead who has it.
Right.
I know Orange County is pretty saturated with treatment centers. But we have at least one of the programs is in network with everybody. The other cool contract we have that we are we love is our contract with the VA.
Oh, yeah.
So we can take veterans. Serene Behavioral Health, that is mental health primary.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
wow.
That's
I just
right.
get it.
Yes, Chad, it is mental health
It's
primary.
been
You looking for
long day.
something?
Yeah. Mental health primary.
You looking for mental health primary, Chad?
We
got it for
we
you.
only put veterans.
Serene
in there.
Behavioral Health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need more for our vets, too.
Yeah, they need to do more. That's one of the things we're fighting for here too, because these guys have served our country, and
Right.
they don't have better health care than you and I do.
Yeah.
They really don't.
Right.
So it's another fight we're fighting. The big fight is the fentanyl fight, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all the veterans are on the fentanyl anyways.
Yep.
They're out there homeless.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
It's awful.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for everything that you're doing, though,
Thank you.
too. Like, I appreciate, I love to hear people going on the streets. I love to hear programs that do scholarships. I feel like more need to be doing the same thing.
Right. I hope
Yeah.
everybody starts to take our lead, that what we're doing, because I hate hearing that somebody's insurance ran out, and Joe Schmo's treatment center up the street kicked him out.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? Don't get out of the business if you're gonna do that.
Right.
So this isn't a business of just making money. This is a business of saving people's lives.
100%.
And these same assholes, they're the bad players, right? They're the same assholes that do that kind of shit. Kick them out. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't have any insurance left. They kick them out and then wait for them to relapse so they can bring them back in.
Right.
It's like, that's not cool.
Yeah, majority of them have no experience with addiction themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I can't stand that.
I
And
know.
it's like, as a business owner, I don't know if you've had those calls, but I'll get those random calls from other business owners that have completely different businesses. And it's like, hey, how do you, I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of here. Like,
Oh, how do you start a treatment center?
yeah, I can't stand that.
Yeah.
Let me
all.
tell you what the ingredients to start a treatment center is. You have to have a real passion for it, because just like you, we didn't have financing behind us.
Mm-hmm.
We had I didn't pay my bills for a month, and I saved up all my money. My parents had like a $5,000 that they threw in the pot, and a couple other people threw in. We had $10,000 cash.
Yep.
We rented a house.
Mm-hmm. Same.
We
I had like 3,000
$3,000
and a credit card,
and yes.
and racked up that credit card.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Big time. That's how I paid the bills at
we
first.
bought it was a 6-bed house. We bought 2 beds because we couldn't afford the other beds. And when we filled those 2 beds, we went and bought 2 more beds. That's literally how we did it. But I don't think people can do that. Like, if somebody wants to, I'll surely, I will, they can consult. I'll consult for them. But I charge a lot.
Yeah.
For consulting.
Well, and you have to have a passion for this, or
Yeah.
you're just not gonna, you know what I mean?
Anything. That's why when people say, "Did you sign an NDA?" I'm like, bro, if I don't have passion for your idea, I'm not taking it. I can't.
100%.
I'm not going to steal anything from you. What
Well,
the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is where you just tell people stay in your lane. Just
Yeah.
because someone's successful selling cars doesn't mean you should go open up a car dealership.
Right.
You know, that's
Yeah.
their passion.
Yeah.
I wouldn't last for a second doing that
not a
at
minute.
all.
Oh
No,
God, I
not a
couldn't sell a
minute.
car.
No.
No, me
I'm
neither.
not sleazy enough.
No, I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. It's too slow for me.
And I don't love cars.
Yeah.
I just don't love cars. I don't care.
You know,
I hate that. One of my biggest things that I hate is going to buy a new car. I literally hate it. I can't. When I get to the dealership, I want to go look at the cars before a motherfucker comes up to me. Sorry for cussing so much, but I get a little more excited on the. I don't usually cuss, but I started cussing on the podcast.
I used to never go in. I used to just pick it out and just push the button and they deliver it to my home.
Online.
Yeah.
Oh, because I always like to buy the one that's sitting in the showroom because that's the best one. But you know what the problem with that one is? It's also the most expensive, and they've upcharged the rims by triple everything. Anyway, we're just what are we doing now? We're
kicking time.
Yeah,
that's all.
I appreciate you coming down.
Yeah.
This was a really good podcast, and you this is going to be a really good one.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you hit it
guys
with the
are doing
ballpark.
this.
Good for you.
Thanks.
Super
Yeah,
excited.
huge.
I don't know what day it's going to come out, but I'll let you know
Okay.
in advance.
Okay.
Oh, did you do any videos of us while we were talking? You got some photos? All right. I'll pretend like we're talking right now and you can video us because I like those ones.
Make sure you get good angles.
Yeah.
Chad always scream. What do you scream?
What?
Keep your chin down.
Chin down.
Chin down.
Shane goes like this.
I go like that.
He likes to.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
He's doing a video right now.
Oh, I know he is. That's fine.
So that's the point.
That is the point. Fuck.
Good times.
Yeah, great.
And then,
times.
thanks for coming.
Yeah. Appreciate
We're all
it.
done. And then we just need one